we are going to do the second half of what we worked on last week, where last week we basically found a bunch of companies using Google Places API. So now that we have those companies, I'm going to show you how to use Claude or whatever LLM you want to vibe code out a system that will then go to those websites and then pull their email addresses and then enrich your lead with information from their websites. And then from there, we will set up a system where it will use OpenAI's API to generate. I think what we're going to do is just use a template that just infuses it with information from the enrichment. We're not going to use OpenAI. It's not really necessary for what we're doing. And then from there, it will send out emails using the Mailgun service. And then we'll integrate that through API. Mailgun, I found, is a pretty good service for this. In your first month, you'll get 50,000 free emails. Essentially, you'll be able to send out 50,000 emails for free. You get to track them, find out who opened them, which ones didn't go through. And the free aspect from the first month to send 50,000 emails was good. But you can do whatever you want. You can use whatever service you want. There are other versions. And after that first month, if you look at the pricing for other services, they might make more sense. But so far, I am happy with it. And what we will see in the call is if you don't use a service like that and you just try to send it using a connection to either so you can connect to your Gmail essentially, and then if you sort of forward your email address from your domain to your Gmail and have Gmail use that email address, you're not going to get the results you want. It'll possibly just throw you into their promotions folder or whatever. You can get caught as being spam. Mailgun so far, when I tested it out, was able to keep that from happening. And then also, and it's a little bit more technical, but they give you ways of updating your DNS so that really, when I tested it out, it sent out emails to people directly into their inbox and there was no warnings or anything in it. And so I like that aspect of it. You will need to warm your domain either service. Exactly. And so that will be tomorrow's. We're going to go over that, like just giving you some more of the pieces, going through sort of the full flow. And then, of course, there are other things you can do, right? To get more, what would you say, like more variability in your emails if you wanted. And then you could use other email services like SendGrid or Mailgun. But I do think kind of going through all the different steps, seeing that it's possible, seeing that you could just set all this stuff up using an LLM to help you figure it all out. Great. On Friday, what I think I want to do, because we're looking for more topics for the Friday lecture, and I want to do maybe things that people have suggested. And so there are two ideas right now that actually come from Art, one directly and one indirectly. So one is one that he had asked for previously, which was, can we do a comparison between American models and Chinese models? And so that might be one topic. Another topic that I was thinking was, and again, this is indirectly from our the intersection between AI and blockchain technology. Anybody else has a suggestion for Friday's lecture series? Anybody want something that is way better? And maybe we'll do a little bit of a voting at the end, but essentially, these calls are for you, right? And so top free agent builder. Interesting. Top free agent builder, I think, right? So we could do that, or we could just look at a bunch of agent builders, right? Kind of like walk through the pluses and minuses of the agent builder ecosystem. Because we just go through the top one, then that's going to be a fairly short call. But yeah, that one's a little bit more topical. And so I could see that might get in, that might be a good one. And then, so next Tuesday, I'm really excited about this one. So for the Dr. Jeff special, we're going to go over MCPs, and I am going to show you how to build an MCP. If you're not familiar with MCP, so this is Model Context Protocol. And essentially, the protocol was developed by Anthropic, by Claude's folks, and then they made it open source and made it so that other models could, and other LLMs or other platforms could use it. I think at one point earlier this year, Gemini got functionality. They started to support MCPs. And when that happened, I feel like it blew up as a topic because all of a sudden I was seeing it everywhere. I was like, everyone was just like MCPs, MCPs, MCPs. MCPs are going to change the game. It's such a big deal. And this is in the AI world. So like, first there was LLMs, then it was RAG. People loved RAG. Then it was agents. And then pretty quickly, everyone was talking about MCPs. And when it was so popular, I was like, what is this? I get model context protocol. Sure. I understand each one of those words individually. What is an MCP? Right? Yes, exactly. Yes. So next Tuesday, we're going to do it because we're going to, because Tuesdays are more practical where we actually like do stuff, and Fridays are a little bit more talky conceptual. And so next Tuesday, we are going to see how to do MCPs. And just to give everybody, an update, or just to get your brain going on what this is. Again, like when I first heard about it, it was just like, I was trying to read about it, and man, I feel like it was one of these things that people hyped, but didn't understand, but knew that they should hype up and they should talk about how great an MCP was. And I would try to understand, like, okay, so it connects LLMs to tools. Got it. But like, I have been connecting LLMs to tools without an MCP. So why do you want an MCP? And then over the last month or two, I've been working on an MCP project for one of my clients, and I finally delivered it. And then they've been testing it out. And now that I see how they're, sort of enjoying it and being able to use it, I felt like, okay, this might be a good time to share it with you all. Now that I have enough experience under my belt to show what it is, we'll go over a somewhat simple MCP. It's really just going to hopefully open things up for you. In a more practical application, we're going to do an Anthropic one because I use Claude a lot. Claude and ChatGPT are my two. There are other ways to utilize it in different ways, but I do think that this is pretty valuable for what a lot of us are doing and can be used for it. In a more practical sense, like there is a more technical version of this. What you do is, so there is the Claude interface that you use through a website, but you can also download Claude Desktop. Right? You download Claude Desktop. And what you can do is you can build an MCP server on your computer using whatever IDE you want. I'm going to do it in VS Code. That's what I'm most comfortable with. You can do it in different languages, although we're going to do it in JavaScript. I think that so far I've seen that I tried to do one in Python. I had a little bit of trouble with it. Everything I've done in JavaScript has worked out well. And so what you can do is essentially have Claude Desktop control different applications on your computer, right? And so one of the ones I was building for this client, and they're in the media industry, is I connected Claude Desktop to Blender, which is an open source 3D modeling program. And it was able to generate 3D models for them. And so all they would have to do is, once everything was connected and it was up and running, they would just ask for things in Desktop, and it would generate the 3D models, the 3D animation scenes in Blender. And then they could go and take a look at them and look at the renders and then give it feedback, and then it would update it. There are ways to make it say, it's not really the type of thing for building like a SaaS platform or something like that. At least not yet, from what I can tell. It's really for either local to your computer or to say like a network of computers within a company. Right? So potentially you can connect it to a database of information, and everybody in the company who's now using Desktop in this case would then be able to access and be able to manipulate data in the database or any of the other programs that you connect it to. There are a whole host of different programs that you can connect it to. Possibly QuickBooks is one of the ideas I had, although I am open to suggestions if anybody wants one, if it's not too hard. And then I might change. Nice to use GitHub and MCP. Good for making it. Okay. That's a good idea. I am going to look into a MCP N8N thing. That would be pretty cool. And so like, if you see when we do our vibe coding, there's like this back and forth we have to do when things don't work. You have to copy and paste. Okay. All right, Tori. If it exists, I will look into it. I have not tried that. Yes. Yeah, yeah. So it can't, yes. And um so that's the thing, is that this becomes way more consistent. It's more like it works directly with like the files on your computer. It can like update it can go and check the files on your computer and update them. And so there is just way more consistency in everything that you do utilizing it. If it's consistent characters with images and image generation, there's always a bit of an issue there, just because that's based on the image generators. But for 3D models in Blender, yes, because it will create that character in Blender, and then it can just keep using that character in Blender, right? Or whatever it is. Okay. All right. I will look into here. I'm going to make a note for myself, edit MCP. But again, I don't know if I wouldn't say I was skeptical at first, but I just couldn't wrap my head around why everybody cared about MCPs initially months ago. And then I just started to dive into it and get a little bit more of an understanding of it. I was like, oh, this is why people want it. And I feel like when I would read articles about it, it was just like, well, yeah, you can connect tools. And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course you can connect tools. So what? It's like, oh, you can connect. It's not that you can connect tools to it. You can connect the actual like applications on your computer to an LLM. That's a different story, right? And so when you can start doing things like that, where you can now connect a variety of different applications on your computer and then just tell it what to do, right? It's like, hey, do my taxes for me, right? And instead of, again, like either copying and pasting or doing whatever or having to upload, blah, 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 there is an aspect where you have to make sure your MCP handles things in the right way. But this does also help out with potentially some of the data issues, right? Because you don't need to necessarily share the data with the LLM. The LLM can just orchestrate things that all happen on your computer. And now there is a way that, like, if you set up your MCP, then a lot of the information does still go to the LLM, depending on, the structure of how you do it and how much information you provide to it. But you can keep a lot of it local to you. And the real functionality of it is that you no longer have to upload, download, copy and paste, do any of that stuff, go through a bunch of different steps. It can just automatically do a bunch of work for you right there on your computer. And so I think that could be, especially if I can get this, I'll try out the N8N one. If that works, and that would be a perfect, I think, use case for us, is getting an N8N MCP project going and seeing what that's like. Okay. I've already used up half an hour of our time. Hopefully some of that was useful. Anybody have any questions? Throw some questions in the chat. Turn on your mic. Any AI questions? Any MCP related questions? Possibly N8N questions, although I can't answer everything in the entire world. I've tried. It doesn't go well. But maybe is there something you're confused about? Any topic you want to bring up? Anything I can maybe help out with? If nobody throws a question into the chat or turns on their mic, I am going to start calling on people. You got to watch out. It could be either in alphabetical order or reverse alphabetical order. So if you're in the middle with both of your names, if it's going to be first name or last name, then you might be safe. Otherwise, what is the preferred way to access Nano Banana? Is paying for it worthwhile? So Nano Banana is new. I actually have not used it very much yet. I haven't used it at all yet. I would have to say that's probably a better way of saying it. It's only a week or two old. Is paying for it worthwhile? Depends on your use case. I think that if you're in the media field, and especially if you're doing the type of things that it's purporting to do, it's probably worth it. I mean, it's worth testing out and trying out to see if you like it. And then with any of these things, right, I think that it's up to you and whether or not, like, if you're not really doing much with images or video, probably not, right? But it is a way to do consistent characters, right? And so if that's the type of thing you're looking to do, Banana can definitely help. It does seem to be very, very powerful and very useful. Although until I kind of get into it a bit, I don't know. Like one thing I'll tell you is whenever you see a demo, and I bring this up a lot, of a AI project or what it can do, they always show you the best version. They always show you one that worked out really, really well. And then when you go to use it, you'll sometimes get some of those, but then more often than not, you get the not as good version where people's heads just start going weird like that, or, their hands start getting wavy and strange. And so I think that, yes, if you're in the media world and you're generating a lot of AI images and a lot of AI video, and you're looking for some consistent character work, or if you're trying to make a bunch of like weird, funny looking things and you want to get out there and kind of potentially go viral, if you have a good platform with like how weird you could do things. A lot of what I see when they promote it is something that's deep fakey, right? But I think that also you do have the ability of, if you're in advertising, right? Marketing, because you can just throw in like a lot of, again, like you see as deep fakey where they're switching out faces, but also it is also changing out like clothing or products or objects and things like that. And so it does give people the ability to have like more, that is one of the issues that you had before, where it's like, let's say you had a new juice brand. I could use juice a lot, and you wanted to generate images with your juice in it. There were limitations to it. Especially if you use some of the stable diffusion image generators, getting it right was going to be an issue. You would possibly have to train a custom LoRa, like we showed in previous course calls. But being able to just take your product and then now throw it into a scene, like if you're in the marketing world, right? I think that Banana can be really useful. Or again, like you're trying to wow people with doing a deep fake that looks really good, or you're switching out, I don't know whose face, Taylor Swift's face for, who's a crazy option here, for George W. Bush's face, then go for it. But I definitely think for any of these tools, part of what I like about them is that there is a free to freemium version for you to test out. And then if you really want them and like them, then go for it. I'm a beginner and had two questions. One, how do we book calls? And two, I've been having trouble with the VO3 Yeti 8N setup because I haven't been able to get some solid help on fixing my issue. Okay, Alan, how do we book calls? If you're asking that, we can talk about it. How do you book calls on the platforms? That might be something different. I'm having trouble with the VO3 Yeti N8N setup. I don't know if I've gone over that N8N, but I would reach out and ask for help. Have you been asking for help on that and nobody's been able to help you? Always tell people, if you're having an issue, ask Claude or GPT to give you some help. If you watch this MCP call that we're going to do next week, have your MCP do that, help you out with it. So what kind of call are you trying to book? Give me a little bit more context. Adrian agents, AI agents that sell anything, any workflows is pretty solid. So they'll sell anything, but are they going to book calls for those Adrian agents? Adrian left because we blew up his agents. I'll call with you guys for some help. Okay. I think there is, so I don't handle the troubleshooting or issues like that. There has to be some form of getting feedback. I don't know if you can do a call as much as we have a Discord server, right? I think that you can look for help in there, and that might be the best option for you. Makes media marketing material. Okay.
Here, let me see if I just talked to you. The Adrian AI agents. The AI that sells anything is an N8N workflow that runs through the Banana and VO, and it puts branding material, and it takes in your product information and your business information, and it builds it out. So it does it, and it's got its own MCP built into it. It's 3 workflows, and one of the workflows is an MCP. I'm not quite sure how all it works, but it works.
Hey, you think you've used it and you've gotten good results from it?
Just played with it. The stuff thrown into it comes out pretty good for the little test cases that I played with it. I've not put it in production anywhere, but the little test cases I've thrown through it, I'm like, it's pretty neat and it's pretty well made.
Yeah, I think that we are going to start getting into this phase where between 2022 and say 2024, a lot of this stuff was cool, but could you do anything with it? And then over 2024, they started to show real sort of practical production use cases, but then they were limited. I think 2025 is where we're starting to really, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, we're starting to break down all the doors on, yeah, you can actually make commercials with this stuff. You can get real ads and not just things that give you the sense that this would work one day. It will work today. And so I think that everybody who's been early adopting so far is getting comfortable with this stuff. You're getting that initial sort of introduction to things and understanding of the limitations and what can happen. But now I do think that we are going to start entering the world of like, yeah, you're gonna have to just do this stuff with AI. Like the world is totally changing. I brought this up before that I think right now, and it might be shifting a little bit. I think there are some people who appreciate it, but there is this aspect where people will look down upon if you use AI to write, right? A lot of people are trying to develop ways to be able to tell if AI writes something. I don't even know how they figure that out sometimes because I feel like AI just writes like what you're told to write a lot of times, right? So it's like, how do you know that AI wrote that? I didn't write it and just change it, or I didn't have AI help me write it. But going to the future, I think we're 5 or 10 years away from, and maybe shorter, where people are going to be offended if you didn't have AI help you write something. In a very similar way to, I don't know if it was ever like this, where people knew you used spell check, they would look down on you, like a spell check type of thing, where it's like, well, now if you didn't use spell check on your work, people would be like, got a bunch of misspellings in here. Why didn't you use spell check? And I think a similar type of thing is going to happen where it's like, what do you mean you submitted a resume and you didn't have AI help you write? Like, what kind of idea was that? And the same type of thing with marketing materials, right? Where, and we've talked about this before, YouTube. And, there is sort of this clamp down or gatekeeping where it's like, well, this is AI generated. So this is either going to disqualify you or we don't like this or whatever. And then pretty soon it's going to be like, what do you mean to make this with AI? What are you, crazy? But then there will be, I feel like, the bespoke, this was generated by hand type of situation that people are going to start looking for once AI starts to. But then also, and I've said this before, is that the idea that people make things without the help of AI at this point in time is sort of not true. Almost everything on some level was made with AI at some point in time. And it's really, how obvious was the AI? How much did people realize that AI was behind that technology? I've given examples before. So the autofocus on your phone uses AI. A lot of visual effects were using AI models for decades. Since early 2000s, they have been using computer vision, which is part of AI, models and algorithms to help with visual effects. Like that's been going on for a very long time. And so when people were getting sort of up in arms about AI and how AI is going to take over visual effects, yes, it is definitely going to become a larger part of visual effects as we go forward. It was always part of visual effects. It's been that way for a very long time. The AI has been in our visual effects pipeline. It's just the people didn't know it was AI, or they didn't realize it was AI, or it was not fully AI generated, which is what people are talking about. Okay. Any other questions? The model you mentioned that creates the 3D models. No, so I built a MCP server for Blender. So Blender is a free 3D model generation tool. And I built one of my clients a MCP server that allowed them to control and have it generate them 3D animations. And so this is the type of thing that I was just using that as an example. We are not, tomorrow, what we're going over is how to enrich leads from websites and then how to send things using Mailgun and have it generate emails for you. Next Tuesday, potentially, we're going to do N8N MCP. you can resell your 3D MCP. Ooh, I would love to resell things. But the hope is that I really just want to show people we will be making MCPs. So yes, we will be making MCPs, not tomorrow, but 9/16. We will be making our first MCP and on these coaching calls, and potentially it will be an N8N MCP. And it might be the type of thing where we get it up and started. I'll probably start messing around with it initially, and seeing what it takes to build it. But like, I will just kind of get you the basics, and then what you'll see with these MCP servers is that you can get one up and going, and it'll start doing basic stuff for you. And then you can just add more and more features to it and then give it more and more capabilities. And so we'll probably definitely get something that'll just be up and working. And you'll see it's like, oh, watch this. I just told Claude Desktop, make me a basic N8N workflow. And then I went over to N8N and the workflow was there, right? Now it might not be the greatest workflow in the entire world, or it might have like these issues with it. But from there, you can just add more features and get it to be up and going. And so 9/16, yes, I think September 16th, we will be going over MCP, most likely an N8N MCP. And we will just see how that works. I will suggest if you want to follow along, it would be easier. So one of the things about MCPs that is cool about it is that theoretically, you should be able to build an MCP server, and then like we're going to do it on Claude Desktop when we do it. So that's what I use for everything. Not everything. That's what I do for a lot of my technical type of stuff. Coding, data analysis, anything like that. I've always just, even when GPT-5 upgraded and they said they're better, I'm not seeing that. I still prefer using Claude for this stuff, even if Claude did pirate a bunch of material. But theoretically, what you're supposed to be able to do is just switch it out. Is that if you build an MCP server, then you could, if Claude starts to fall behind and, one of the other platforms starts to do better, or somebody comes up with something that is specifically for MCP servers or whatever, you should just be able to plug and play. And it is a way to then connect any platform, whatever program application you build it for, you can then switch it out for any other LLM and be able to use it that way. So that's pretty cool about it. And again, like these are really good for, I think, personal use or internal, like office use. So if you have clients, right? So like, let's say, like mine was like a media client, but if you have, say, like an attorney or an accountant, right? And they do a lot of things with QuickBooks. You could build them a QuickBooks MCP server that will allow them to just type into Claude, hey, do this, and then it would just do it in QuickBooks. Or there's a whole host of different applications that MCP supports. You can look into them. And, but we most likely, again, it sounds like an N8N version of this exists. If it does, then we're going to see if we can connect to N8N. All right. Any other questions? Throw them in the chats. Turn on your mic. Looks like Tori does Tough Mudders or something, or he just likes to climb underneath wires. I've done a Tough Mudder before, or it's probably like, what do they have? The Spartan thing, something like that, possibly.
I used to do about 25 of those a year, but yeah, Claude is pretty decent for Claude at 1/4 cost, but you really want to, because they charge per message, you want to plan your messages with another LLM. So I use ChatGPT and the projects in there, and I map one of my projects in there, and then I hand select the messages I send with to augment code to save on the budget. And then I get a similar outcome that I would get Claude Code, because I was trying to cut my budget on stuff because I was spending like $1,000 a month on LLMs, and I was like, cut them somewhere.
$1,000 a month. Whoa, okay.
I signed up for everything for a little while. Now I'm under $200 a month. That's a combined set of LLMs.
You're the exact person I've been telling people that's what we're going to have, where people start off with ChatGPT and they're paying for that. And that's like how everyone started off with Netflix. and then there was Hulu, and then there was Shudder, and then there's HBO Max. And then all of a sudden they're paying all this money for all of these subscription services. And that's what's going to happen with these LLMs, where you're going to be paying ChatGPT to help you write your emails, and you're going to be paying Claude to help you do your coding. And then you're going to be paying Perplexity to do all your research for you. And I forget why we're going to be paying Gemini. Oh, well, Gemini, you have to pay for Nano Banana, right? Or Google, whoever. Google is Gemini. All right. Anything else from anybody? Any ideas? Any questions? Anything anybody wants to share? Like a cool project you've been working on that you want to let people know about? All quiet on the, I guess it's the Western front. I'm working on building
with Google, Mailgun, and Deep Spy from Stanford, and Augment Code, and the then workflow from Adrian. I'm trying to build a total content marketing engine that dynamically adapts depending on what you feed it and produces consistently quality content. And it's coming along pretty good. So
what kind of content is it generating?
Well, I got it set right now to produce 35 pieces per week. So what you do is you feed in a URL and it pulls out the product and the use case for the product, and then it builds a client avatar and all the stuff around all that. And then in the end, it produces 7 videos and 28 images. And it's hit or miss. I'm still trying to get it worked out right. Some of the stuff keeps on failing in between. It's a lot of moving parts. But it's coming along, and I think that when it gets all worked out, I'll be able to just feed a URL into it. It'll pull all the client information, build out, turn it into a machine that pumps everything out, and I can just have it automatically post.
Yeah, having automatically post, that would be cool. One thing I would suggest to you, and you may already have this, is doing probably like a VLM type of agent that takes a look at the images and the videos to determine whether or not they're any good. And, it would need a variety of different rules or things to watch out for, just because, and maybe we're going to get past this stage, but so much of the videos that get generated, it's really the videos I would worry about the most. Images we're doing better at, but like VO3, right? Or is it Seed Dance? It's somebody's dance, Fight Dance or Seed Dance. They'll generate cool looking videos, but a bunch of them are, weird looking, as described earlier on. And so if you had something that was judging those images and videos as they're being generated to drop the ones that are no good or promote the ones that are the best, I do think that we're at a time right now where, especially for video, you need some sort of judge agent in there to determine whether or not that video has a bunch of AI artifacts in it or makes sense at a larger level.
But I built some of that into his stuff, but I don't know quite how to do that yet. So you've got some of the review agents built into his tools where we'll actually use some of that and provide feedback and then pass or fail depending on feedback,
Yep. All right. That sounds cool though. Yeah. That's awesome. You're working on building a SaaS using active pieces, and it bypasses the N8N commercial license. All right, Virgil, how are you doing that? You can either go on mic or throw some information out there if you want.
I'm running it on a Laravel server.
Okay.
And I used to have a SaaS that did like virtual staging, but it was done by human hands before. Now I just want to totally make this AI generated.
That's very cool.
So I talked to, and their licensing starts at 60 grand a year. Yeah. I looked around, and there's a competitor to N8N called Active Pieces. And they said that they could do their automation similar to N8N.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, and you also, if you're going so that's one of the drawbacks to data, right? Is that they are going to charge at that level. But one of the things that I've stressed before is that there's really nothing that isn't available to you through other services or through, just like Python code or something like that. Can be a good way to build things and show proof of concept. But once you have proof of concept and you see, okay, that's how you connect that, it's Python code behind all of it anyway, or some sort of code, right? And so once you have a complex enough system that you see is working, you can translate that, use Claude or GPT or somebody to just translate that into a Python workflow and then turn that into an API or something like that. And then they do not have a monopoly on agent building and, just essentially automating things. Like automating is something that we've had for a while. It's really just like an entry point for people. But once you want to go SaaS, enterprise, commercial, anything like that, I don't think that NAN is going to be your best choice. It makes way more sense to use something else other than that. All right. And then master workflow assistant. So it adds an AI workflow builder. Cool. It unlocks
it unlocks all the corporate stuff and adds a few other features. The AI workflow builder, I haven't tested, so I have no idea, but it works pretty good as far as like unlocking additional features like variables and such.
Very cool. Yeah.
But you still can't get away from the NAN commercial license. Because there's something there that says like, if you use their license without their permission, they have the right to take you to court.
Gotcha. I don't know anything about their licensing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with all these licenses, right? Is that, yes, that is the point of having a commercial license. Okay. Anybody else have like a question or a project they want to drop or a question about MCPs? Let me see. We got some new people in here. Avery Kyle seems new. ML, although I've been, familiar with machine learning for a while. That's probably not the ML that's here right now. Sarita, of course, with the fast GPUs. Anybody want to drop any? Oh, okay. Abdullah's got a hand raised. I possibly have been missing that hand raised this entire time.
It's all good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I'm working on a project and I'm looking to deploy it locally, and because I work in a very sensitive place. But the thing is, I have a question. I've never deployed it locally before. Would it be possible to deploy it in the same automation on different computers, or is it just one computer?
No, I think you could do it in multiple computers, right? You'd have to deploy it locally on each one, but as far as I know, you can do it on different computers. I only use one computer when I'm doing a lot of this stuff, but as far as I know, you can do it on multiple computers. Anybody else have a more detailed? Oh, go for it.
Sorry. So I also would like to walk you through the project that I'm working on, and
Sure.
let me know if you, yeah, sure. The thing is, we are looking for an agent that can automate the student's correction. Students submit an English writing paragraph, some 50 words, and then teachers in the past used to correct those, but that adds to the workload and it's very difficult. So we're looking into an agent that can do that for them. So I started the project, it's my first project. I started with the first node is one form submission just to see how it goes, and then a PDF extractor. And then I wrote a Java code to only extract relevant information and put it in a way that is, intelligent, understandable. The second code is a KLP code, key learning points, that we have for each book that the students are taking. It's about 150 words per book and 10 muscle structures per book that the students need to demonstrate understanding of. Now, these two are in two different codes. So the flow goes from one form submission, PDF extractor, the code for cleaning the PDF, and then the code for the KLP. Now, after that, I had an AI agent, GPT from OpenAI, GPT-5. And then I had a structured output parser and it got everything ready. But when I executed the workflow, it took so long that it wasn't executed. Now, at this stage, I'm thinking maybe the information is a bit too much, even though they said the tokens is up to 400,000, which is a lot, considering how it started with like 6,000. What I was thinking, maybe to create two agents, one for handling the KLPs and the other one for handling the other parts. Or if there are any other ways, as I said, I'm looking to deploy it locally. If there's any other way that you can think we can go about this, I would appreciate it.
So if it is taking that long, like you're saying, I don't know how long that is, but like it shouldn't take that long. There is potentially an issue with the workflow. Thanks, Victor. Thanks, Arnett. But I am a huge proponent of breaking it up into multiple agents. I think that's one of my phrases that I'm trying to coin is over prompt and under deliver. I think that you need to break up your tasks. Don't put too much on one agent. Whenever you can, have multiple agents. Add the complexity to it. Add extra steps. Don't try to put everything through one agent. If you're having issues, break everything down into component parts. Try to isolate the tasks. Have agents only focus on one task. Even if it's, and you might have two separate issues here, and the solution will be for both, right? Exactly. Orchestrator structure is that one, you probably do have something where you need to figure out how to get this to go faster, which I don't necessarily think is totally tied up in the number of agents that you have. But really, even once you get it to work, you will get better results if you have more than one agent. That is almost universally true. And so I would break it up. I'm new. I just want to get an idea of the flow.
Do I need different API keys though?
If it's the same, like, agent company, like if you're just going through ChatGPT each time or you're going through Claude, then it's the same API key each time. You just might need to put it into different nodes. And then just to give a really quick idea. So different coaching calls have different concepts to them. So like today it's Q&A. Tomorrow is the Dr. Jeff special, where lately I've been doing a lot of vibe coding with people, just showing them how to do different projects practically. Thursdays, people go over, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's somebody else. We'll go over an N8N workflow, see a Virgil. And then Friday, I do a sort of lecture, although I do try to get inputs and discussion with people where we go over different topics and sort of instruct and educate people on them. Different calls have different flows to them and different structures to them. So if you stick around, maybe you'll see that you prefer the Q&A day and the Dr. Jeff special on Tuesdays, or, really Thursdays, the N8N workflow days are the best for you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Our call time is up. I will see you tomorrow, where we will go over enriching leads and sending out mass emails to people. Thank you.